so much about that is, shared hardship and doing tough things together and not individually. And so, excited sort of about what this group's about, what they're made of. There's just so many questions still to answer. Obviously just the first day in pads today. So good, some good things, some ugly things. But what you'd expect from a first day in spring. I've been pleased with the integration of the new guys into the defense through these first 3 days of practice. They've really sort of ingratiated themselves with the team. The veteran guys that have been here have really accepted them with open arms. So there have been some really good competitive battles, offense versus defense, DBs versus wideouts, O-line versus D-line, one-on-one pass rush today to have that O-line go against, a lot of the new guys that we have too up front. It was a great competitive day, both sides.
When you all go back after the season and you kind of strip down the defense and look at what worked well, what didn't, kind of just evaluating the whole season, is there a different way that stylistically teams tried to attack you all? And do you have to, how do you tweak your style, if you will?
Yes and no. I think a lot of, we were, especially defensively, we were sort of a tale of two halves, right? Like all year long in the first half of games, played strong, thought we weren't as good in the second halves, maybe whether it was worn down, whether, rising up in adversity cases. Then if you look at it as a season, first 6 games of defense versus the last 6 games of defense, is the same way. It was just very much, we didn't have a closure mentality, and we need to get that back. We've always had it here, and we did not have that finishing capability last year. And so that's something that really stood out. Obviously, scheme-wise, we've dug into that, and every year you got to be really careful about, maybe I called, some defenses too much. There's plenty that I'm like, man, I wish I would have called that one more. And so it's always a self-evaluation from me as a play caller, and then from each individual coach. Hey, how can we teach this technique better? Hey, did we have too much defense? And I think in this day and age too, when you're bringing in, a significant number of transfers into the mix, you've got to be mindful of that. I think you've got to be mindful of what you used to maybe be able to do in the past, because you've had guys in the building 3, 4, 5 years. When you've only had guys in the building 12 months, or less, and you're leaning heavy on them, they don't know all the nuances. They don't have the built-up scars. And we can say, oh man, we had 5 guys, or we've had 7 guys that have done that. And yeah, but it takes 11. All it takes is one guy to not truly understand, pop a gap, and it's a big run. Offenses are too good right now. They're gonna force everybody on defense to know exactly where to fit and how to fit. And the only other way to compensate is that somebody's got to whip a man and make a play, a special play. But we had too much primary going into secondary too early. A lot of those things, and that's where the focus is. We've got to fix those. We got to get back to what we've always done. We've been a sound defense in terms of not allowing explosives, way too many explosive plays, and there were a lot of different reasons for that.
How do you build that closer mentality? Is that something you just have to wait till games to see if it comes in, or how do you build it, I guess, over the winter, over the summer?
Yeah, I know I got asked this last year, sort of in going into the first game, and someone asked me, they said, hey, could this be whatever, one of the best ones, defenses I've come through? And you just look at it on paper, and I say, the reality is, in not coach speak, you can't tell what you have until about week 5 or 6. Because the week 5 or 6 is when an adversity is going to hit and injuries come and the weight of the season starts pressing on your shoulders. And then you really see what kind of team you have. And you really see what kind of defense you have. And you really see how can they frickin' push back against the adversity. And So to answer that question, how do you, some of it has to be innate. I think some of it is what Coach has really made a huge emphasis on these first couple months. And it's got to be about team. One person can't lean against a whole team adversity. You got to lock arm and push back. And you're only going to do that with brothers that you feel are truly your brothers. If it's about me, it's about only me, and I'm gonna keep my hands to myself because I don't want to touch anybody, well then things are gonna crack. And little cracks get exposed the longer the weight's put against it. And so the idea is if we can eliminate the cracks, no matter how much force you put into that pillar, right, it won't break.
One position you all didn't hit in the portal, you hit a lot of them, but safety. So what do you like about those guys, and how do you need to see them improve? Like, where do they need to take strides this offseason?
Yeah, again, that's a veteran group that we're going to lean into. Obviously the two older guys, and then, really excited, about, what Cam Dooley brings athletically, and he's got a year in the system. And then, then you've got two freshmen that are going to be thrown into the fire. And so, we'll see how that goes through spring ball. But I'm comfortable right now, but everything, anything can change depending on how spring goes.
Is the plan still to keep Alex inside to focus there? After last
It is,
season?
and I think he's really comfortable in there right now. And he built up scars by starting the last, whatever it was, 5 games this season. There are some really good plays on film. There's ones that he would love to have back. But guess what? Now he's got that scar to lean on and understand, okay, this is why I don't want to slip that block. This is why I need to strike this blocker. This is why I need to slow my feet. That comes with experience. That comes with experience within the system. That comes within live reps. And it goes back to, hey, when you add a lot of transfers, right, or you do too many, and they don't have those built-up scars, they can't fall back on that. You go back and, there are plays that you had with a 1-year transfer that you're like, man, I wish he would have done this. No fixing it now. I mean, hey, at the next level, no, I wouldn't do this, right? It doesn't help you as a program. And so as much as we can have guys in the program for multiple years, the better it is.
Well, and that goes to Davron, where he really flashed in the limited snaps. What are you asking of him this season?
The same thing when we had the discussion last year, hey, can I redshirt and come back next year and be that guy inside? And that's the demand of him. Be that guy. Put on that extra weight. Be the vocal leader. Understand what I'm trying to get done. Because this is year 3 in the season. He's got the most reps and the most experience in that inside backer room. And so the game has slowed down for him now. If you asked him right now, hey, how does the game look compared to when you came in your very first year? Like, it's night and day. And I'm like, yes. So understand, when you're talking to other teammates that have just transferred in, like, you have to help them along, and you got to say, hey, listen, I've been there. It does take a little bit. Like, don't get frustrated. It'll slow down. And this is what helped me. This helped slow the game down. And it means so much more when it comes from a teammate than it just coming from a coach.
I spent a lot of time last season asking you about pass rush and those edge guys. What do you expect to see from them in the spring, and what have you seen so far?
You know what? That's one of the big question marks, right? Because the edges of the defense up front is going to be completely new. Like on both sides, you think about from a field end perspective, to the jacks into the boundary, they're all new, and so it was only day 1 in pads. So much of that position is all about pads. And then it's all about finishing. And so much for me, the evaluation will be once we hit scrimmages to see if they can actually have a finishing touch to their game. And we need that. optimistic, about the bodies that we brought in, and then obviously still having a guy like, Gerard here, which is huge, and Steven Souls, on the edges. So but it's funny, you're like, the two veteran edges we have are they're sophomores, they're true sophomores, that had, limited game action, but at least they had some. And then everything else is sort of up for grabs when you think about, Keys, Grace, and then you're talking about Cam Olds and Sam Green, and then you bring in, we got, freshmen coming in, and we'll see what, a guy like CJ Works can do once he gets into the building. And so, that maybe the biggest question mark of them all are those edges.
I mean, I think anytime with football, the more time you have to be around it, your knowledge is going to grow. So mentally, I feel like I'm in a better place than I was a year ago, but that's also the case from last year to 2 years ago. So in that aspect, yeah. And then physically, I think that I've done a really good job with like the help of like Ty and the strength staff to help get my body to a better point. So yeah, the both.
How much weight did you gain, or did you gain?
Probably about 15 pounds. The weight on the website wasn't really true.
Yeah.
So now I'm sitting a little bit more comfortable in that range and feeling good about that. So
Was it difficult just having to say, I am going to sit on the sideline this year, even after D-Jack went down and that, the injuries kind of started to add up?
No. I think that it was something that I had thought about for a while. I mean, realistically, I know that there's a lot of other people, a lot of other good people in my room, and it wasn't just Pop and D-Jack, it was Pop, D-Jack, me, Alex, the young guys. So, it was something that I thought about for a while, and when I went ahead and made the decision to have that conversation with Coach, it was something that I was hell-bent on. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
I was hell-bent on it at that point. So
Yeah.
It was I don't know. It wasn't too hard though. It definitely did suck to see guys going down and the numbers start to shrink. And I knew that I could be a help, but it's always a bigger plan at the end of the day. So I just kind of stuck to the plan that I wrote.
We've seen other guys around the country do that with the idea they were going to transfer at the end of the year. But was it always your plan? I'm doing this to come back to Kentucky next year to do it.
Be truthful.
Yeah.
No, there was definitely I would be lying to you if I said that there wasn't a thought to leave. But relationships at the end of the day, I have a lot of respect for Coach White. I have a lot of respect for both Mark and Mike. So it's yeah, I mean, I don't like to restart. Truthfully, I didn't want to transfer the first time. I had a lot of love for my old staff, and it was really hard to make that decision to leave once. And just the type of person I am, I didn't want to do it again.
Now that you are here and you're the old guy in the room, you're the guy with the most experience. So, how demanding is that, and how comfortable are you being the kind of microphone in the middle of the defense?
I think that is really. I think my room makes it easy. We got a lot of young guys that come in and go to work every day. We got Alex, who we all know is a great ball player. So my job really is not hard, and it's not like the job is just on my shoulders. I rely on Alex just as much as Alex relies on me, and I rely on Grant just as much, and I rely on Landon just as much as they would rely on me. So I think that this year the dynamic of the room is kind of more not just on one person's shoulders. So I think that makes the job really easy.
What was it like coming back for that Tennessee game after the redshirt decision? Playing a little out of position too. How did you prepare for that throughout the whole process?
It was a good time. I found out that earlier that week that I was going to be playing Jack, but it was a lot of fun, and I just went out there and just tried to have fun, and I think I did. So kind of just missed playing ball at that point. Yeah.
About all the little things you guys needed to do in the weight room and everything else to get that discipline back. Have you seen the strides you wanted over the offseason?
Yes, sir, most definitely. I feel like towards the end of the year, things kind of got lackadaisical around here. And I could tell from just our first day being back, the standard was the standard. We got these blue-collar shirts. And last year we had a lifting shirt too, but, people towards the end of the year started coming in with whatever. But this year it wasn't none of that. You came in there with a hoodie or anything else besides that shirt, they told you to take it off. And it's really like the players, we're holding each other accountable. So, when we get on the field and we hold somebody accountable, I mean, it's the same thing. You know what I mean?
You all didn't, a lot of these new these position rooms get new guys. There's no new guys really in your room besides the freshmen. So what's your kind of job as the old head or one of the older heads in the room to help bring those freshmen along?
Just to be a leader. I feel like it's only right because when I came in 2 years ago, I had great guys that were older classmen that was a great leader for me. So it's just, repaying the favor. If they got a question, they always ask me, and I always got the answer for them right there. So, yeah, just to be a leader and just to let them know that it's different coming from high school to college. And I told them all the time, I went from being that guy at high school, Mr. Kentucky, all that. And my first practice here, I took maybe 4 reps. So I told them, it's a learning process, and, don't get down on yourself. It's only a failure if you see it as a failure. So just continue just to look at it, at everything as just a learning process, They're going to grasp it eventually, you know what I mean? So no need to rush. Obviously, everybody wants results right now, but, it's just, sometimes you just got to take your time and just chill. It's all going to happen.
I know a lot of what you said, Mr. Kentucky, all that stuff, that's got to apply to Martellus Carter. But what about him? When you see him running around the football, what does he look like as a physical athlete?
He looks good. He looks good, honestly. He got a drive. He got a drive about himself. And a lot of people say that he reminds them of me when I first came in, but he's much more talkative than I was, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. He asked a lot of questions. Me, I didn't really ask too many questions. I kind of just try to get it, and then if I went on the field, I messed up. I messed up. But he wants to grasp it in the classroom before we go out, or the meeting room, before we go out to the field. And he goes and he flies around, he makes plays, and I'm happy for him and Dylan. I'm happy for both of them.
You've got 31 new players on this roster this spring. How have you all just done with the team building stuff, all the emphasis in the offseason, getting to know each other, all those things?
I think honestly, it's been a great job on Coach Hood's part. He's put together a lot of fun activities for us to do outside of here. Obviously, with that many new people, the lunchroom, the cafeteria is different. You don't go in and see the regular people. You got to sit with new people. So besides that, I feel like Coach Hood has done an amazing job of just putting things together. Like our Superstars competition, we had, I think, 2 weeks ago maybe, and we had the same thing last year, but it was just something different about this year. It was everybody wanted to win, and there was fight, and like last year it just wasn't that. Just people were kind of just oh, when can I go home? When can I go home? But this year everybody was cheering each other on. It was a real competition, and I feel like things like that will get us over the hump, and that really makes good bonds and team chemistry.
What do you think? What's the difference? Why does it feel different? Is it because of what happened last year that you all learned from it, or is it something else?
I think we do learn. Obviously no one likes to lose. No one likes to lose, and it's just mad unfortunate when you lose. You know what I mean? So, like I said, no one really likes to lose, so no one wants to go through that again. And the new guys that came in, they understand what type of season we had last year, and no one wants to repeat that. So, yeah, I feel like everybody in the building is just taking an extra step so we don't have to repeat that.
Going into the off season, when you sat down with Coach White or either your position group guys, what was the big critique from this past season, and what you guys in that room have to do better in this season ahead?
Are you talking about from the safety position, or just in general?
Safety.
From the safety position, he mentioned to me just being more of a vocal leader. The past 2 years, he felt like I've been more of a lead by example type of guy, but he did want me to take a vocal leadership role this year, and I feel like I have been taking steps to doing that, but also just clean up little things. Sometimes when him and I watch tape, it's just little things. If we didn't move to our right or our left, we just stay where we was. That's the difference between a pick, PBU, and just a tackle. You know what I mean? So just clean up just little things and just attention to detail to a lot of things.
Just how tough was it this time last year when you think you got this big senior season ahead of you, and then the injury hits?
As always, I'd say it was pretty tough. Frustrating to say the least. You put all that work off, put all the work in the off season, and watch hours and hours of film and really get your body in the best shape, and then a freak accident like that happens and set you down for a year. I say it's always frustrating to go do something like that. So.
Did you hurt it in practice, or was it?
Yes, it was in pass rush drill actually, O-line versus D-line, and I twisted it there, and like I said, it was a freak accident. So I didn't really get you.
Was it at least encouraging mentally, where you were able to get back and play in a couple of games there at the end of the year last year?
Yeah, absolutely. It was encouraging. I just wanted to finish, out with my class that I started with, like Octavius, Oxidine, Trayvon, Ripka, and obviously Deion Walker, with him graduating last year and going to the league. Just wanted to finish with them and know that they can count on me. So it was motivating, to get back into the last 3 games.
Did you always know you'd be able to play some, or was that kind of up in the air as to whether you'd be able to get back?
To be honest with you, I didn't give up. You know, it's Achilles injury, so you never really know. Especially the position I play defensive line, it'll be it's different for each position with that type of injury. So I just stay focused. Continue to pray and rehab and stuff like that.
Is it feeling pretty good now? Like, do you have to? You think about it at all? Is that ever back in the back of your head?
Sometimes, it's I'm fully healed though. I'm fully ready to go, right? But it's it's Achilles. It's my first time tearing my Achilles, so it's always something to think about.
So many new guys in your room now. How much of a leadership role do you kind of have to take for that room?
I say I like room a lot this year because we got a couple transfers, but everybody has experience. Everybody, like my guy David, Gus, and my guy Q from South Dakota, and David Gus, he just came in. Just a lot of experience really helps out in the leadership space. As far as guys stepping up, and when we got one guy go down, the other one to step up, so it makes it a lot easier for me.
For defensive linemen, I mean, I'm sure there's some nuances, but for those new guys, like how much do they have to learn scheme for you? Or is it just, hey, it's football, they can play D-line, they can play?
Right. Well, like the motto is, like Coach Stu always said, if you ain't in shape and you don't know the plays, I can't play you. So that's the motto we live by, knowing your technique, knowing what you got to do, being in the right place at, the right times on each play, and also being in shape, being able to go 5, 6, 7, 8 plays in a row.
How just the defensive line has meant so much to this defense for a long time. So when the kind of run defense slacked it in, how much pride do y'all have knowing like we can get this turned around and get back to the high standard we set this fall?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
There's a lot, I guess, riding on the defensive line, like
right.
And how prideful are you, or how motivated are you all to get back to that high standard this fall?
Absolutely motivated. It's every year, right? Because, like I said, my D-line coach, his main thing is we're going to stop the run first, and then we're going to pass rush and go get sacks and have fun and do things like that. But we take, pride in stopping the run every year. So it's been like this since I've been here, and it's still like that now. So,
do you sense like a frustration at all around the team after what happened last year?
What do you mean?
Like when you go 4-8, do you feel like guys are pretty pissed off to try to correct it?
Always, yes, sir. Of course, it's always frustrating to lose, right? Especially we know like the team we got, the talent we got on the team, and the pieces just don't come together like you want them to come. It's always frustrating, but like I said, I try to tell our teammates use that fire we had last year, and that motivation to do good this season, and I repeat that, same losses and things like that.
So many new faces in the building.
I'm sorry.
What's that been like? Getting used to so many new guys in this portal.
Yes, like I said, I've been here 5 years, so I see new faces every off season. It's always a blessing, always awesome to get to meet new guys on the same mission and the same task that you trying to get to, which is ultimately win. So it's been fun. It's been fun.
Have you gotten a sense of at least for the guys on your side of the ball, that are like good culture fits for what you guys are all about?
Yes, sir. I believe all our guys are good culture fits. The guys we bring in, especially on the D-line, and we got 3 new guys. Like I said, David, Q, and my other guy. We got 3 new guys, and I feel like they bought in what we do as a D-line and how we, as a defense, how we carry ourselves on and off the field. So.
A lot of new guys in the room. What were the kind of traits you guys were looking for when trying to add to the D-line?
You know what? We were trying to get twitchy guys that strong, could give us something on third down also. And I think that we filled that out. The 3 guys that we brought in definitely are really good additions, and we're very excited about them.
McKee said that he was playing safety in high school, and he hit that late growth spurt. So is that exciting knowing that you got a guy who's got a lot of development left in him?
Exactly. And the thing about he's a really good. He's a good player. He's a really good player. Now he's not there yet, but he's a work in progress. But I'm very excited about him. Long, athletic, and he's going to be a really good addition to us.
with Josiah, he had the injury last year. He was able to work his way back, but what do you need from him from this last year when you don't have a ton of guys with returning production?
Well, it's just going to be about him. You know what he can bring. You know, he's a big, strong kid. He can two gap. You know, he can be that guy in the middle. To take two and just be dumb, just be an ass kicker in the middle. That's what you need. You know, most championship teams, they have very violent, really good guys up front that freaking play hard, and they just get after it. And that's what we need from him. We need to get back to that.
Do you think it was hard for him just to mentally get through that difficult time?
Yeah, you know what, Coach Stoops, this training staff, they did a really good job with him, just the mental piece of it, and just giving him time to get back. You know, he did play a little bit at the end of the season, and we're really happy to have him. Really good to have, happy to have him back, and he's definitely a big piece of this puzzle.